An eargasm of learning in a no-fuss show. Welcome to the Creative Talk Podcast, where you can learn straightforward topics about branding, digital entrepreneurship, online business, and many more with your charming host, John Santos, along with inspiring entrepreneurs, creators, and thought leaders worldwide.
We've got Patty on stage as well. For those of you that don't know who Patty Dobrovolsky is, Patty, tell us who is Patty?
Hey, I'm a live illustrator, and let me just say that I'm up here because Jan totally rocked my brand, and so I'm here to totally testimonialize this situation.
I've never heard anyone say that before. I'm going to testimonialize this situation. Patty, I'm looking at your Instagram now, man, and I like it. You stick close to what this guy is doing because Jan is the man in my eyes. And I'm going to just look, basically we met because I've been running rooms on Clubhouse since January. And I've been pretty prolific, to say the least, because, I found it as an amazing way of connecting with people. And I was in my room one day and I just pressed on Jan's face. You see who's in the audience, think, branding and identity coach. What the hell is a branding and identity coach? And I'm into branding, but I've always needed help with that because I am my brand. And for me to make sense of who I am and what I do, it's hard enough trying to make sense of that myself, making sense of that to the external world. So they see your images, they see your videos, they see your read your words, they interact with what you are putting out there. And you want to make sure that that reflects you as a person and as a business. Because if you don't, good luck. Because there's so many people making a noise out there. There's so many podcasts, YouTube videos. There's so much going on. If you don't know who you are, what you stand for, what you offer, and you don't stand for it every day, and that is not reflected well in the content that you're putting out there, and your content is just about content as opposed to what is the intent of your content, good luck again. And I can't believe what Jan and I have done, because I started working with Jan and now we formed a business together because we were just doing so much amazing work and I was referring people to him, and it's the perfect brand, the perfect collaboration, because Jan will talk about his expertise. My expertise is about you as an individual and you as a business owner, and identifying, yes, with what the business is, yes, what it stands for, but also identifying with where the business is going and who you actually need to become. Who is the person in the future that will be guiding your business forward? It's absolutely essential, because if you're in business, you are in the business of competition. Who are you competing against? Well, in many cases, you're probably competing against yourself, because often we don't like to really change. But if we can help you to be in competition, that with almost to outperform your previous best, and as an athlete, athletes know who they need to be. And this is something that we're really, really hot on, and helping people identify who is the person they need to be in order for their brand to speak louder than them. So, Jan, and by the way, just as a coincidence, look, when I started working with Jan, you can look on my Instagram, and it's awesome. What's happening now on our Instagram is I would say it's groundbreaking. And if you look at the branding, you can see our branding is very strong and it's very well thought out. And we have a lot of testimonials because we want our stories to sell more than anything else. We want the people that we work with to speak louder than us. But for example, the post this morning's had 10,500 views. We all know that, or I don't know, but many of you maybe know or don't know that Instagram has changed now. It's trying to, Jan will talk to us about that. The post yesterday had 25,000 views. And there's a number of reasons for this. But Jan, let's just hear from you. So today, guys, we'd love you to get a flavor of kind of what we're saying. And if you want to work with us, we're going to do a room every week. We want to inspire. We want to make a difference to anyone. We want to offer some tips and tools and techniques to help you. But Jan, when it comes to branding, why is it so important?
Thank you, Pete. In the most simplest form, branding is very important because it gives your community, or what we use the word tribe, your tribe, the people around you, an overview of who you are and what you offer, regardless of how you put your community, the people around you, at ease, because they know exactly what to expect. Going back to what Pete, shared a while ago, the reason why, and there's a lot of factors like what he mentioned, but one of the main factors, the reason why his videos or his content in general is making an impact in metrics or really transforming lives, is because it's a teaser. It gives an overview to his followers, to his tribe, of what Pete Cohen is really all about. What is the value that he is prepared to give, to make a difference, to change, that would benefit the tribe around Pete. And that is why branding is so important. Even though you have a solid content, or you really have that desire to make a difference, to make a sale, to connect, to collaborate, to make something, but you don't have that solid branding, there would be a massive disconnection. It would never go to your tribe. Or if you are connecting in some way, it wouldn't be smooth compared to if you have a solid brand. So that's the simplest form. You give an overview to your tribe of who you are, what you do, and what you offer.
So where did you learn all of this, Jan? Because just to give everyone a little bit, because I think you're a genius, personally. I think you're a lovely guy, a great friend, but I really do think you're a genius. Tell us a little bit about how you got to this place where you're now doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I took a fine arts major in advertising, and before the word branding, it by concept it exists, but by terminology it does not exist. So before, it was advertising, print ads, radio, and TV, the main medium. So I was there. I work as in one of the biggest media company in the Philippines. By the way, I'm a Filipino. I'm in the Philippines right now. So that's that's my industry, doing consultations, really handling projects, media, rooted to advertising. And then there were partners who really blessed me, people that are big in the industry blessed me to really invest in more knowledge, more upgrading your skills. So from advertising, I took up theory of knowledge, epistemology. So that's where the methodology and the philosophical side meets. So you have design, arts and design, advertising, and now philosophy and epistemology combined. So when you put all that in play, you can now create a methodology. You have the thinking side, the theory of thinking, and now the design. You put it all together, you weaponize a business, because you are not only focused on the externals, but you're also rooted in the internals, and thus branding comes into play. Well, that's the sort of my journey.
That's fantastic. And I would say this is the thing that makes you so incredible, is this combination of the philosophical piece too, because you were interested in my brand, you wanted to interview me on your podcast, and then when I thought I'm gonna have him work on my branding, because we were partnering to get my podcast out there. And let me just say that it changed everything. And the comments and feedback, because the brand is consistent and the message is consistent and the call to action is consistent, all of these things made everyone just wake up and pay more attention. And I think that, and the algorithm of Instagram pay attention, where before I would randomly be creating videos, not randomly, but I did 3 posts a day, but I never got the kind of engagement that I am now. So that's my testimonial about it, how essential the branding is.
Thank you, Patty. And it's interesting. I was looking at your Instagram, and you can see the difference. Look, it's not all about Instagram. I just think that when you're on Clubhouse, it's one of the first places that people are definitely going to go. Please, take a moment to look at Jan. I mean, it's different in terms of mine, but it's very consistent. It's very clever. And actually, I mean, check this out. I can't believe we don't talk about this, but Jan has a post on there with me and him. And that post has had 234,582 views. Make sense of that. That's nearly 250,000 people with me being on his podcast.
That's the only post that got that high. And, when me, Pete, and the rest of the team were talking about it, it was like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't always know. And, it isn't really just about views at the end of the day. I mean, who cares how many followers you've got, really? I mean, does it really make that much difference? I'm sure everyone in this room, we would all appreciate that it isn't about that. I mean, there are elements that make that great, but it is about the interactivity. And also, so your brand speaks louder than you, that people look at it and they want to engage more, and they want to share it, and they want to talk about it as well.
I think that's if you remember, Pete, when we were talking about that in your room, there was you had a guest, a lady who at the same time that we hit 200,000 views, she got 1 million views on LinkedIn, if you remember that. So it was crazy.
Yeah, and you've really just helped me just refine even more carefully, who I am, what I do, what I offer, and sticking to that, and just sticking right and just keeping it simple, not trying to overcomplicate everything and be all things to everyone. It's like, tell us those 3 questions that are absolutely essential in terms of building your brand.
Sure. Because you mentioned about being simple, and I always share this to my colleagues, not only on social media but in outside social media. You need to be simple. You need to connect to your tribe. A lot of designers out there, or artists out there, or let me say entrepreneurs out there, they talk and they use terminologies, jargons that they are familiar with. And that's nothing wrong with that, because that's them. But if you want to connect with people, you need to not make it shallow, but speak something simple that they would understand, so that they can relate. If they can relate, they can consume the value that you're offering. Or if they connect, then you can educate them step by step to understand the terms, the terminology, the jargon, the main core of what you offer. But to begin with, make it simple. If you're teaching, give chunks of knowledge, give nuggets of value, easy to consume, easy to connect, easy to benefit your tribe, making transformation in step by step. And I'm an advocate of this. If you really want to make a difference, give and let them consume it in the simplest form. And going back to the 3 main points, before you can do that, know who you are, what you do, and what you offer. Who you are as a brand, what you do, and what you offer. What are you ready to give that could benefit your tribe?
So I'd encourage you to write down those questions and consider the answers. And feel free to come back next week and share that with us if that's what you want to, because we'll take some case studies, we'll take some questions. I can see Brooklyn's on the stage. Brooklyn will come to you in 1 second. We've also got Mr. Woon Tang, who's someone I've known and worked with for a couple of years now, I think, on my podcast. Woon, what would you like to say now we've got you, before you fly back to Malaysia?
Hi everyone. Hi Pete. Hi Jan. Hi Patty. Well, I think this is such a great room. So I think this is, I know Jan has been putting this together. So I just want to say I feel very lucky to be part of your teams and working with you guys. So
I'm so lucky to know Woon. I mean, Woon, for those if anyone here, just by the way, is interested in, this is the collaboration of podcast. I introduced Patty to Woon. Woon, for those of us that don't know who you are, Woon, feel free just to tell the people in the room who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so My name is Woon Tan. I run a podcast agency. I'm a podcast agency owner, and I'm a podcasting mentor. So I work with impact entrepreneurs to launch and scale podcast. And so my job is really to help you fall in love with the podcasting process, so that you can create podcasts that leads to income and impact that only you can create. And I've had the pleasure of working with Pete, and also now working with Patty.
And you've been on Jan's podcast. I saw you.
Yes, and obviously Jan is an amazing person to work with. I think Jan, your sort of design skills and your knowledge of how marketing and branding works is so key to how you've turned Instagram as such a powerful tool. And yeah, I just feel so lucky to have.
Well, I feel it's the same thing. We're like the superheroes up on this stage. Patty, who I've worked with for a number of years, is one of the greatest human beings and kindest human beings. I mean, we've got a lot of stories to tell, and we've only just got started in helping people draw out their future. But just going back to just podcasting with your assets around podcasting is all very well producing something, but it's all very well. You need to have the assets around that reflect the podcast, that make people want to click and go and listen to it. That's if you want to, because ultimately, I don't like the idea of. I don't know if anyone else agrees with this, but I don't like the idea of. I don't know how to put this into words, but I'll do it in a way that maybe makes sense. Everyone's trying to get everyone's attention. And I don't really want to work hard to get people's attention. I just want to be me. I just want to put content out there that I like putting out there, that I feel is a representation of me. If people listen to it or they watch it or engage it, I don't want to do anything controversial. Like I know I was with Rob Moore. I was with Ed Smith recently. Some of you know I was at an event we were speaking at, and they want controversy. I don't want controversy. I don't want that. I know who I am. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying, and it hasn't always been that way. And hopefully now it's speaking louder than ever through what I'm doing. But Jan, you talk about intent coming before content. What do you mean by that? I've got a couple of questions to ask you, but that's the first one. What do you mean about intent before content?
Right. I always say this, intent comes before content. You should have a solid intention. Why are you doing the things that you do? Why are you creating content? Why are you recording podcasts, to be specific? Why are you a coach? Why do you do the things that you do? It should be solid. It should be rooted to the core, because that will make a big difference. A lot of us, and I was in this situation before, and I know there's a lot more, either an entrepreneur, a student, a startup business, a designer. There are a lot of people who will jump towards social media and create content and throw it out, hoping to get a lot of metrics, either followers, views, or if you're a business, hoping to make a sale, hoping to connect with investors, or just hoping for something to happen. And they end up being desperate and downcasted because nothing's happening, or if there is something happening, it's not smooth. The reason why is you need to step back, have everything. It's like building a house, guys. You don't build a house starting from the top. You check the ground, and the foundation goes deeper than the ground, than the surface. Then from a solid foundation, you start building going up. The bigger the dream, the larger the vision, the deeper the foundation. And I remember I was in
Say that again. Say that again, please.
The larger the vision, the bigger the dream, the deeper the foundation. I remember when I was in Dubai, in its early stage, we were in a train crossing a reclaimed land. It's a part of the ocean, and they reclaim it. And I was like, what is happening here? In the billboard, it says, "This big building coming soon." And all I see It's like, a movie in Star Wars, like a very deep hole with like steel bars and brick, like so deep. I was like, how can that be this picture of a tower, like so high, and I can see a hole so deep? Fast forward, I have this idea already that that's why the bigger that building, the solid foundation is very needed. So let's connect it to, as a content creator, as a coach, as an entrepreneur, as a podcasting agency, as a human being. If you really want to make a difference, step back, check your intention, check yourself, check your heart, check your soul, check your mind. Intent comes before anything else. Before you produce, before you create, before you connect, before you throw, before you speak, check your core. Check. It's all about Beastie Boys.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yes, there you go.
Because if you don't do this sort of stuff, and this is another reason why I've teamed up with Jan, is because we want people to feel good about what they're doing.
Absolutely. That's the reason why, this conversation should be light. There's a lot of people out there that is very serious, and it's nothing wrong about it. But guys, this is a new generation. We need to be full of life, energy, and joy to make a difference. It's not happiness. It's joy, because you are in a position to share something valuable that can help people. That is the main reason why you need to check your intent before anything else. If you believe that you are creating something that would make a difference, you are full of joy because you know you can help someone. Boom. Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is sabotage yourself, right? It's so easy to do that. You have to know who you are, what you stand for, what you offer, standing for it every single day. I'm going to ask you, by the way, for anyone, in fact, let me just put this in here. I thought I already had. Feel free to check out what we're doing. In fact, I just need to get the URL again. Feel free to, check out what we're doing, because we are looking for people that want to work with us. We are selecting people. Obviously, we don't want to work with everybody, because we can't work with everybody. We're very, very selective about picking people that want to kind of emulate, what we have done. And one of the things I love about Jan is you've only got to go and look at the fact that he walks the walk. He has his own podcast. He practices what he preaches, and you can see that in his own Instagram, right? And it's not just about Instagram. It's really important just to I think, to make that point. But if anyone wants to find out more, literally you can book in a call. You can see if you've pulled to refresh the Creative Scoop. You can click on there. You can fill in some details if you want to have a conversation with us, and we can really look at your branding. There'll be opportunities to ask questions and stuff. And Jan, in about 5 minutes, I've got to leave the room. But if you want to keep the room open for a little while, I know Patty's here and Woon's here. But I wanted to ask you, Jan, where do you think most people kind of get this wrong, this stuff, in terms of not building their business because they haven't really thought through, the brand that represents what they do?
Right. There's two main factors, and this is my opinion, based on my journey as a branding and identity coach in this industry. First is they end up with the wrong people. It's not wrong. It's the journey, but they end up with the wrong people in the sense that they are not suited for what they need. In this generation, we have a lot of teachers, coaches, people that give content out there, but it's merely based on their opinion. It's not factual. There's no absolutes. That's the risk. For example, a guy learned how to cook, and because of he's so full of joy that he created a dish. He now posted it on social media, and he's now teaching. He is in the zone of giving opinion based on his journey about cooking. And now that the content is out there, there are people who is learning how to cook and would end up consuming that content. Again, it is not wrong, but it's not suited. So that's where most of the people get lost in the journey. And the answer for that is you need to check the digital footprint of the person who is teaching or throwing out values. There's a lot of strategists out there. There's a lot of coaches out there. And I'm not saying that I'm the genuine deal. I'm just giving an open perspective. You need to check authenticity. How will you do that? If they have a solid digital footprint. They say they do this, but does that reflect? Boom, check it out. If you don't feel like they're saying who they say they are, back up and continue looking, continue searching. It's the way it is. Now, the second factor is that most of the people start with the external in content creation. They're a business, they're an entrepreneur, they're a coach, they're a student. They go in creating something and throwing out there. But they miss that before you throw something out there, before you create, again, I am an advocate of this. Focus first on the internal. That's the main thing. Pillars, foundations, missions, goals, milestones, plans, values, things like that, that would keep you in check, that would keep you intact, and would avoid having you stretched thin. Because that's gonna be, it's not gonna be easy. It's a long journey. If you don't have a solid core to keep everything in check, you will get lost in creating content. People will say, oh, you need to do this, or you need to do that, or you need presence in all the social media platforms, or you need to talk, or you need to speak. It will destroy you. It will rob you of your life if you don't know, or if you don't have those internal aspects in check. And this is a perfect example, Pete and Patty. Patty has a strong, solid core. She doesn't need to do this, or she doesn't need to go that, because she has her solid points in check. Oh, I need to do this. I need to speak on that. I need to be this because I am this. Things like that. And Pete is the same thing. I don't need to dance on TikTok. We can utilize TikTok, but in connection to what my brand message and identity is all about. Things like that. And Woon here is the same thing. Oh, I don't need to do the things that people do, even though it's trending, because I know who I am inside and what I offer. I'll stick to my journey and connect and give value. So that's my take on most of the people, including me before, getting it wrong in their journey.
Thank you. I still feel that there's so much to learn from you. And as we do these rooms every week, we will honestly just be giving you guys some practical advice of things that you can actually do. I think it's so essential. And, Patty and I, we talk about this, a lot because we've been around for a long time and things have changed. But now we know there are more people making noise than ever. There's more. It's never ever been more information. How many podcasts? How many Clubhouse rooms? How many YouTube videos? How many TikToks? It's on and on. And then the guy who won the Nobel Prize in 1972 basically said the biggest problem in the world is there's too much information, and that was 1972. So you think now. And honestly, if you don't do that internal work and you have conversations with people who maybe have the expertise that can help you. I mean, I didn't listen to a lot of people for a long time. I honestly wanted to take personal development to the masses. But then someone said to me, a few years ago, they said the masses aren't interested. It's like shouting at someone who's just not listening. And it took me a while to realize, okay, who exactly do I want to serve? And I know the people I serve. I serve the people who want to do the work, people who want to improve who they are, who want to outperform anything they've done in the past. They just want to get better. They want to grow. They want to contribute. And that's not everybody. And now with what we put out, everything we put out is in alignment with that. And I cannot emphasize the importance of it, because otherwise you just get lost, because there's a lot of people making a lot of noise. So know what it is that you're saying, know why you're saying it, and just be quite strategic about getting it out there, because there's a lot of people right out there. And what is it about you? You are unique. We're all unique, right? There's only one of us. We need to believe in ourselves. We need to believe in what we do, where we're going, and build the team of people around you, just like these people on stage. I work with all of them.
Thank you for being with us here on the Creative Talk Podcast. I'm your host, John Santos. Don't forget to listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. See you again, always.